Good afternoon. It's almost Shabbos, and I'd love to share Dvar Torah with you in person, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like it's going to happen this week. This time of the year is called the Days of Sfira, and it's been the days of mourning for over 1900 years. And it was a very similar time, 1900 years ago, when Rabbi Akiva had students, 24,000 students passed away, it says in the Talmud, after Pesach, and they stopped dying 33 days later. You could imagine talking about this a year ago. Now we could actually feel it. What does the loneliness mean? What does it mean, the fear, the insecurity, the instability? And if you do the math, it's about 700 people passing away every single day. And then we get to Lag BaOmer, which is a time of celebration. And you wonder, what is the celebration about? Well, we're told that's when the students stop passing away. Okay, they stop passing away. We can mark that day, but as a day of celebration, what's the point of celebrating? After so much grief and so much tragedy, so some people say that this is a time similar to another time the Jewish people had gone through. What is that time? The Jewish people, when they were in the desert, in the Midbar, it was decreed on them that they're going to pass away in the Midbar, in the desert. And every year, on the day of Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, 15,000 people would pass away. And at the end of 40 years, the 600,000 Jews who lived in that generation passed away. In the final year, they thought someone would pass away, and nobody passed away. And they went, now the 9th of the month is not the full moon. They went all the way till the day of the full moon, which is the 15th day of the month, and then it was a real reason to celebrate. No one passed away this year. It's the 15th of the month of Av, and that's why one of the reasons why we have a great celebration on the 15th of Av. We all know that the day of Lag BaOmer, of course, is a celebration because it's Hilula de Rashbi, the day that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai passed away, and he said this is a day to celebrate. But this week's parsha is Parshas Achrei Mois, after the passing of the sons of Aaron. And we know that when someone passes away, we're supposed to take a personal lesson from it. Just like King Shlomo says, V'achai yitein el liboy. The living, the survivor, needs to take to heart. So what is the Jewish response? And what is really the celebration after such great, immense tragedy? So the truth is, what we're celebrating on Lag BaOmer is something that's truly amazing. We're celebrating that Rabbi Akiva picked himself up after witnessing 700 levayas, 700 funerals every day for 33 days straight, picked himself up and began to rebuild. And from those 5 students that he gathered together, we have famous students like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Yehuda Bar Eloi, Reb Meir Baal HaNes. And that was the response of Rabbi Akiva. And this is really what the celebration is. And if we go back to the very first challenges that the Jewish people had in Egypt, it says, Kasher Yanu Oisam, as they were afflicted, Ken Yirba v'Chen Yifreitz. The Jewish people became more, literally, physically, they had more children, and they became stronger. In the face of tragedy, in the face of death, Jewish people always sought to rebuild. And unfortunately, we've had many tragedies. If you look in the Torah numbers how many people there were in the census of every single tribe. So it says that the tribe of Levi had 22,000, the least of all the tribes. And then there was the tribe of Yehuda, which had 74,600. What a disparity between the tribes. Why so many more of the tribe of Yehuda? The Ramban tells us that the reason is because the tribe of Levi was never part of the servitude in Egypt, and they were never challenged. And if you're challenged and you go through hardships, that's when Ken Yirba v'Chen Yifreitz, the Jewish people, thrived because they were challenged. Unfortunately, last Saturday night we heard terrible news out of Hanover, Germany. The Shliach of the Rebbe over there, Rabbi Binyamin Wolf, who's there for 15 years, a father of 8 children, passed away, unfortunately, from the virus. And when the family members heard about this, they immediately tried to make arrangements to have him buried in Israel, but something very different happened. His wife, the Almana, the widow, said, no, my husband is going to be buried here. We are staying here until Mashiach comes. So she will continue to lead all of the institutions, and her children will give classes, and things will continue. It's not a surprise. She comes from an illustrious family of shluchim, people who suffered under communist era. But this is a historic event. This is the first time a Jewish rabbi is buried since World War II in Germany itself. Where do Jews take this strength from? We don't know. What is the ways of Hashem? We don't know. The Hasidic community has suffered terribly. Many losses in the US, in Israel, in Morocco, in France, in England. But our mission, we always know, is we must rebuild. And that is the way we are taught, all the way from the times of the Jewish people in Egypt. And we don't understand the ways of Hashem, but at the same time, we know what our mission is. I just want to end off with an amazing story. This story happened in 1969. There was a young man, father of 5 children. His name was Hirsch Leib Gansberg. And his wife passed away tragically. And it was the second day of the holiday of Sukkot. According to Jewish law, we don't mourn during the holiday, so the Shiva, the time of mourning, gets pushed off till after the holiday. He had a tradition that he would take his children to a synagogue. They'd walk quite a few miles to East Flatbush from Crown Heights and go to a small synagogue and liven up the Jews over there, some older Jews, and go and dance with them. The children were wondering, what's going to be this year? Their mother had just passed away. This chassid took his children and told their grandmother, dress up the children, we're going to go. It's going to be no different this year. It's still a holiday. His daughter tells over the story, the walk was a very quiet walk. But when they got to the synagogue, when it came time to dance, their father was on fire. He was jumping, he was dancing, he was celebrating like you have never seen before. And then, of course, they walked back home, father, 5 orphan children, and there was one more job this Rabbi Gansberg had. He would lead the songs at the Rebbe's Farbrengen. So when it was a celebratory time, he would sing happy songs. And now he had to go to the Rebbe's Farbrengen. How is he going to do this? He pulled himself together and he went to the Rebbe's Farbrengen. And when it came time to start a song, there was a small voice heard in the background. And it was in Russian, and this was a song that Hasidim sang in Russia. In fire we will not burn. These are the words of the song. And in heat and in water we will not drown. And he started to sing it, and the Rebbe looked up. And the Rebbe gives a sharp look at this man, and he sees who's singing, and he knows exactly what's going on. The Rebbe jumped out of his seat, and the people who witnessed this saw almost the chair almost fell over. And the Rebbe was dancing with such enthusiasm like they've never seen in the entire leadership of the Rebbe. That's the attitude of Hasidim. We don't understand the ways of Hashem, but we do know what is mandated from us. We must march further and be ready for Mashiach. And let me bless each and every one of you that we should only see health and happiness within our homes and our communities. And we shouldn't see any more tragedies. We should only see goodness and kindness in a very revealed form. Amen.